I'm going to be presenting the climate change agreements that you need to know for AQA, A-level geography, in the water and carbon topic. But you can always use these for other topics as well. There you go. I keep getting baited by that arrow. Anyways, so the Kyoto Protocol, which was created in 1977, set targets to developed countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from annexed parties such as Australia, EU, and Canada by 5%. They established the concept of trading carbon emission permits between member countries. They gave the possibility of skipping the use of older, dirtier technology for newer, cleaner infrastructure and systems with obvious longer-term benefits, which are also more economical. They formed international trading logs to verify that transactions are consistent with the rules of the protocol, giving in annual emission inventories and national reports. Most developed countries joined, for example, the USA. Some then withdrew, and some refused to make it legally enforceable. Currently, 192 parties in the Kyoto Protocol are in the Kyoto Protocol, and by October 2020, 144 parties accepted entry to force of the Doha Amendment was achieved. Emission quotas were agreed to reduce their overall emissions by 5.2% of their 1990s level by 2012. And you can research if they've actually done that. So some issues with the Kyoto Protocol is that they focus too much on carbon emissions and it doesn't address other pollutants, just sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. 75% of greenhouse gas emissions are excluded from its scope, and it didn't compel developing countries such as China and India to take action. So now going on to the Paris Agreement in 2015. So in COP21 in December 2015, 195 countries adopted the first universal legally binding global climate deal, which is due to be enforced by 2020. The agreement set out an action plan, and some of the things in this action plan were to keep warming well below 2 degrees Celsius by 2100. Rich countries must provide $100 billion from 2020 as a floor or just like a basis for other countries because of the thought that LDEs shouldn't pay for the sort of damage that HDEs have made when it comes to like the environment. So developed countries must continue take the lead in reduction of greenhouse gases because they have the funding to do so. The COP21 discussed that they aim for greenhouse gas emissions to peak as soon as possible because that basically means that if it peaks, then the only sort of way is down. So they want to reach that peak as soon as possible so that they can finally start sort of looking at reducing the carbon dioxide levels or just overall reducing climate change or the accelerated climate change if you need to be specific. So the review mechanism in 2023, where a review every 5 years is made, where each country will inform in like updating and enhancing their pledges. In terms of COP 2021, there were diplomats of almost 200 countries which struck an agreement aimed at intensifying efforts to fight climate change. The agreement established that all nations need to do more to prevent further climate change, e.g. that climate should only warm to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Some steps are to cut carbon dioxide emissions nearly by half by 2030, curbing emissions of methane, and make rules to hold countries accountable for the progress they make/fail to make. Rich countries, e.g. the United States, Canada, Japan, Western Europe, account for 12% of the global population, but produce 50% of the global greenhouse gases in the last 170 years. So President Biden and the European leaders insisted countries like India, Indonesia, South Africa need to accelerate their shift away from fossil fuels. They lack the financial resources to do so, and that rich countries have been stingy with aid. Biggest fight in Glasgow was about whether the world's wealthiest countries are disproportionately responsible for global warming, and whether they should compensate poorer nations for the damages caused by rising temperatures. This could compensate for irreparable losses such as the disappearance of national territory, culture, and ecosystems, regulation of fast-growing global markets, in carbon offsets. One company/country compensates for its own emissions by paying someone else to reduce theirs. Okay, and that is all. Thanks.